Hello, my name is Paige Williams, and today I'll be talking about cultural and ethical dilemmas in the pediatric population in China. When discussing child rearing in China, there are two common types of parenting styles, authoritarian and authoritative. While the two may sound very much alike, they're actually very different, and each parenting style produces very different results in the children. The authoritarian parenting style is very common in China. In this parenting style, parents are extremely strict and expect very high achievements out of their children. This type of parent is unwilling to compromise on the set rules and expectations they've set for their children. As a result, the children may lack receiving any type of affection or emotional comfort from their parents. As a result, they may carry the same parenting style over when they parent their own children. Next up is the authoritative parenting style. This parenting style has a much higher success rate, as parents are more loving and understand their children may make mistakes. This type of parenting style is much more flexible with their boundaries, although they still maintain high expectations and boundaries with their children. They're just more willing to compromise. Chinese children whose parents follow the authoritative parenting style are more likely to develop independence and responsibility, yet still maintain a close, loving relationship with their parents. Education and academic performance are highly important in China. Expectations on children are very high from their parents. Schooling in China is free and paid for by the government, with school hours similar to those of the United States. Children attend school 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, from approximately 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The year goes from September to July. Children complete kindergarten for approximately 4 years, from ages 2 to 6, primary school for 6 years, ages 6 to 12, junior middle school for 3 years, ages 12 to 15, and high school for 3 years, ages 15 to 18. After high school, the students must complete the Gaokao, which is an extremely difficult exam that's mandatory in order for the student to begin higher education courses. The Gaokao exam takes approximately 9 hours to complete, with a pass rate of 40% for first-time test takers. However, after completing the Gaokao exam, students may then complete however many years of college they need for their higher education training. Since the Gaokao exam requires so much preparation and studying, young adults generally don't enter the dating scene in high school. They wait until after completion of the exam. However, there is no typical dating scene in China. Instead, the young adult discloses their interest in their crush. If the other person says the feeling is mutual, they are automatically a couple. Once they are an official couple, it's assumed they have the intentions of marrying each other, and their relationship is very serious. Since parents are very involved in their children's marriage, the male must win over his girlfriend's family before asking for her hand in marriage. To do this, the man may buy his girlfriend very expensive gifts as a way to express his love for her. If people are not married by the age of 26 or 27, they are considered leftovers. Traditional Chinese medicine is used in China to treat problems such as asthma, allergies, infertility, and more. Traditional Chinese medicine practices are used to balance the patient, which is known as a Chinese belief of yin and yang. Some traditional Chinese medicine methods are acupuncture, which is one that most people are familiar with, where thin needles are placed along the meridian of the body. Acupressure, which is where hands directly apply pressure. Cupping, Chinese herbs, massage, and Qigong, which is where movement, breathing techniques, or relaxation are used. This is similar to the United States non-pharmacological method of pain relief. According to the United States Centers for Disease Control in China, the top 10 diseases that cause death are stroke, ischemic heart disease, COPD, Alzheimer's disease, hypertensive heart disease, lung cancer, liver cancer, stomach cancer, esophageal cancer, and tuberculosis. These diseases prove why it is so important to provide early screenings, detection, risk factors, and treatment in childhood. Tuberculosis in China is the second highest tuberculosis rate in the world. This is why it's very important to screen pediatric patients and their families for tuberculosis and tuberculosis risk factors. It's also important that if a pediatric patient has been exposed to or tests positive for tuberculosis, it's important to treat the patient and take the proper actions needed to ensure safety and treatment of the patient and those around them to prevent further exposure and infection rates. According to the Constitution in China, women are to be equal with men in all aspects. However, unfortunately, this has not always been the case for women. While in recent years steps have been taken to allow for more women to be able to enter a higher education program and obtain a degree, and more women are attending school, there are still inequalities that exist between men and women. For example, the retirement age for men is still 5 years later than that of women, which causes the national earnings gap between the two genders to have a deficit of 5 years' worth of earnings for men. Also, many job postings in China state that the jobs are only for men, they only prefer to hire men, which leaves many women to not be able to find a job in China. It may be known that China has a much higher male birth rate than female. However, this is just not a weird coincidence among Chinese births. While China's one-child policy, which is where married couples may only have one child due to the overpopulation in China, this was initiated in the 1970s. While this was in effect, many officials would ignore the fact that couples were still having 2 children, even though there was the one-child policy in effect. Married couples in China wanted their firstborn child to be a male so they could carry on the family name. However, if the firstborn child was a female, they often were not legally registered through the government, and these women would go undetected until they were much older and needing to sign up for government assistance. This is where they would then be discovered, as they were not actually registered as a Chinese resident. When the one-child policy was removed in 2016, this type of bias that had gone on for so many years against female newborns in China is cause for belief that there still may be a large gender inequality that still exists in the country. A pediatric ethical dilemma I found while researching my paper for China is that in order to enforce the one-child policy China had enacted in the 1970s, was that they would force abortions if the married couples had already had one child. Also, they could force sterilizations for the women that occurred per the government, even if the married couple was unwilling to have an abortion or sterilization. This was something that was disturbing to me to find out. However, even more disturbing was that, again, due to the one-child policy being in effect in China, if a married couple had a baby girl as their firstborn child, parents would often leave the baby girl in the streets for dead. Sometimes women were even forced to complete drastic measures in order for their firstborn legally registered child to be a male, such as killing their baby. This is unsettling and surprising, but it just shows the tremendous pressure that parents face in order to have a single firstborn male. Many baby girls suffered and lost their lives over this one-child policy. Again, many children even went missing and were later discovered.